Hmm. All right. Well, hang on. I gotta make sure we're up there first. That was kind of a weird one. Let me know if you guys can or can't see me. This doesn't feel correct. I don't. Oh crap! Hold on. Hang on. We are actually on. Okay. Hang on. Technical difficulties. Hi guys, sorry. So apparently I've got two different streams going. This is beautiful. And a great way to start off the first one here. Let me give me 30 seconds here. Let me pretty this up. That'll make it interesting. Hang on. All right. That's not fun. All right, we're just going to make this the one. You guys are in the right place. I'm going to delete that one to ease confusion. Oof. All right. Let's see if we got her back now. All right. We're in a better place. Okay. So I'm going to run my little intro and we're going to take a swing at this thing. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, so I'm going to go on the side of you guys can hear me, see me, all that good stuff. Okay, perfect. But yeah, so I am very happy with that intro. It's something that my videographer, Nick, who helps me learn a lot of this stuff, has been working on a lot. Every one of those clips is a big part of what we've done at Lorobbees over the past few years. And it's just going to grow. So that's a really neat thing, just to let everybody kind of peek high level at all of our videos and all that stuff. I find it interesting, and I love what's going on. I love the community side of it. So while we're waiting for a few more people to pack in here, I am going to just share a little bit of what's going on with my bees. 5-10 minutes, something like that, if that's cool. So this year was a very weird year for us. It turned out that we got a lot more temperature heat earlier in the year than we were expecting, and it stayed warm there for a while. We had a cold snap come through, but the bees picked up really quick. Normally this time of year, I'd have 4 or 5 swarms, something like that. And I've counted almost 12 out of the neighbor's yard, and that's with me in there trying to knock cells, and I just keep missing. and that's the reality. So my goal of reducing numbers and trying to manage a few colonies extremely well has turned into, I think I've got like 17 colonies at the 1 yard that I was hoping to have literally 3 by this time. I was hoping to trim down some numbers and all that stuff. So that was a great thing, blessing in disguise. You can always, sell bees. More bees are always better. But this was a very abnormal year. Some of the things that I think helped it out over the wintertime, I worked really hard on trying to get my 2 treatments in. I try so I talked a lot about oxalic acid with a lot of people on the phone throughout the day, and people always ask me my treatment regimen, and everybody's got different beliefs and different things that work for them, which is why I'm not super public with what we do as far as like hard set criteria on the website, because it varies. I'd be lying if I said it didn't. But what I do, my 2 favorite or preferred treatment times throughout the year, at least for us in Maryland, is the last 50-degree day of the year and the first. kind of fluctuates. Sometimes you get a warm week mixed in there that you really didn't plan for. But generally speaking, that colony will have wound down to a certain point, fall time, where you're very limited on brood. Generally speaking, that's between Thanksgiving and Christmas for us. That's a very good treatment coming out of August, high mite load season, that kind of thing. Getting a few treatments into dial them back and then clobbering them in fall time really puts them in a good spot. And then when we turn around and start off the springtime, and we're able to get them just as they're starting to build up, just starting to fly, but trying to get them before they start capping a whole bunch of the new brood. Again, able to take a really strong shot at the Varroa. So I'm very happy with that. It's something that I've been refining. I finally got both those in this past year. I don't know how much of that really laid into the growth that we've had, but I haven't seen a year like this in my bees so far. I don't know if you guys saw the other video I did. We had some hive scales that I put on the colonies because I want to do some more testing, but part of that testing is I want to be able to share all of the data, not just, the vaporizer performed with X and that's it. I wanted to be able to prove to people, hey, I had, these results with this humidity and this temperature across this period of time. I want to have all of that knowledge public whenever I do things, whenever I do testing regimens or treatment regimens. I want to be able to share all of that information with you all. I think there's a lot of value in that. It's something that I wish the scientific community would do. A lot of the times I'll see them do, a study and they're focused on one thing, but because they leave out the other details like time of year, temperature, humidity, in some instances, it can lead to some confusion and that kind of thing in the community. So I really try to limit how much that, how many variables there are. So regardless, I've got a lot of awesome experiments and testing and that kind of thing. I want to poke a few holes in a few things with my colonies, so that's why the more colonies is a good thing, because I want to do some testing out at our Joppatown yard, which is where I currently have 5 10-frame Apame that are currently all double deep. Well, one's a 7-frame. But anyway, love the boxes. I want to do 2-day increments, brood cycle, 2-day increments to cover a brood cycle, just the cap brood. So I want to try and do like 7 treatments, 14 days, and then I'll do 5, 6, and 7 treatments to try and see. But regardless, I'm going to document all of it. I'm letting those colonies kind of go untreated for a little bit because I want them to build up. I want to have some numbers. I was doing mite washes on my main yard, and I was washing zeros. I mean, it's really not uncommon this time of year if you've done some sort of treatments to wash zeros, but I'd see a mite or 2 maximum in my washes. I mean, some of them had 0 across the board, so I was very happy with that. So anyway, so that's the long and short of what's been going on in our apiary. So the big reason why you all are here is over the past week, if you haven't seen it, we've been doing a little marketing campaign talking about some new products and things that are coming to the market. And yes, I say products. When we first started, I was only saying product and that kind of thing. But the reality is we've gotten so good at treating colonies. I want to get that good at testing colonies. And I want to move away from people spot checking colonies, including myself. Like this is a personal mission. I really believe that if we're able to make it a lot easier and a lot more rapid, the whole process quicker, we'll be able to encourage more people to go through the process of doing their mite treatments and having real numbers and not just guessing. And while oxalic acid is really forgiving, all things aside, when you just prophylactically treat, having hard data is a really big thing. And I think it is. And really, Greg Burns was the one who persuaded me last year. He really was able to really push to me and encourage me to do it, because I had a theory that a lot of people do, and a lot of the rebuttal will say. And the theory was, why am I going to kill bees to try and save bees? It's counterproductive. I don't want to do it. I didn't like it. I was very against it. And he kind of sat me down and was like, Rob, the reality is the queen on a good day will lay something like 1,500 eggs, whatever it is. It's a very high number. He's like, your sample should be about 300. He's like, so are you willing to sacrifice a portion of one day to cover the season, or, at least maybe the year, even if you only wash once, to know that they're in a good shape? It's a small price to pay for a lot of hard information. You're not going into winter going, oh, I hope they're good, all their whatever, And that was a big thing. It made me think on the car ride back from Ohio. I was just sitting there like, I feel like I need to do this, because while I preach, oh yeah, oxalic acid works, I'm like, I need more data. I'm numbers driven. I need to understand what's really going on in my colonies, and I needed to know. So therefore, I started doing some more whitewashes. I started really diving into that side of things. As laborious as that is, I wanted the numbers. I didn't want to just guess at things. I wanted to actually know what was going on. So I started doing them, and I feel a lot better about it. I feel a lot more confident about it. So that's what led me down this pathway was a journey out to Greg's place, and now we're developing. So we're going to do that at the tier that we've done vaporizers. We're going to do testing devices, which is a big thing. So let me get into what the product is. First, I want to thank Jason at Bohemia Bees tremendously. I did not expect that. It kind of caught me off guard here. I was mixing my words up. You don't have to do that. I just want to share information with you all, but I appreciate it more than you know. So the reality is, one of my biggest drawbacks with doing the mite washes was I was washing more than just the mites and the worker bees. I washed more queens than I care to admit to publicly on this stream. And the reality is, it deterred me from it. And I just didn't like doing it at all because of that. So the reality of it is, if I was going to do it, and if I was going to get faster at it, I had to come up with something. So this is where we landed. I don't have a black one to show you all, so I'm sorry if this doesn't go through correctly. But it's the correct spacing, just like a normal queen excluder. It just fits beautifully on the top of your mite wash. So let's blink this out of here. So I don't know how much you guys have gathered. Maybe you haven't, maybe you have. It's got a little keyway. It just plops right on there. And they're meant to be kind of loose, but they don't fall off, which is a beautiful thing. And you just dump your bees in there, your sample. This is something that is I'll call the instigator, that kind of thing. I'm still working on the exact weights of this. I had one of the other pieces around. The original puck weighed in at 55 grams. I had to redesign it to this hollow cup shape, which I think will actually work out well, because I'm going to try and make it a scoop size. I'm going to measure this out. I think that's a doable thing. And that actually came from some recommendations and some comments. We'll get into those here shortly. But I've gotten this down to like 18 grams. I think we can go a little bit further with it, make this make sense. So the whole theory here is speed. So I want to be able to get the bees in safely and quickly. So this does two things: blocks out the light and is a slight pressure, just like how when you tap on bees and they walk and they move out of the way, or you're blowing them and they walk. This is that, just a light thing sitting on top of them, and that's what it is. So I'm pretty happy with that. I did some testing. The drones are fine in there. Queens survived just fine without any issue. The only thing that I found was if I put a huge sample of bees in there with the lighter one, if I left the rubbing alcohol in there and I didn't dump it into a side container, it would mess the bees up. If I left it in here and had drones and queens sitting in there for a long time, i.e. I took a phone call and came back, and I could see that they were lethargic and the fumes had affected them. So if you're not going to be speedy with it, you just swap it out. And normally when you do mite washes, when you do your counts, that kind of thing, you're dumping the stuff, you're dumping the stuff out anyway. So there's a few processes there that I'm still working on, which will come out with the instruction sheet and all that stuff when the product comes out. Now, the biggest piece of this whole thing, which I will announce now, is we have a go live date for this product and the product for this week that I'll leave the hint to at the end of this video, and the following week's product. Those 3 products will go live on May 15th on our website. We'll have a little countdown timer and all that stuff, so you guys will be able to see it and track it down and all that stuff. Sorry, I'm reading comments. Yes, I'm from Baltimore. It is a thick accent, and I couldn't say wash or what. I don't know. I'm not even gonna try. I'll take it where it's due. It's fine. So anyway, so this will save it. At least saves me a lot of, hopefully, queens. So far it has. It makes my life a lot easier because I don't have to look for her. If I want to sample, another neat thing, which I've heard from talking to a few people, if I want to sample the drones separately to determine if the drones really carry the mites, like a few studies have indicated to, then I have them in a separate sample. If I decide, I want to do the whole sample, including the drones, that's easy as well. But then you're looking at, instead of 300 bees and trying to find your queen, you're able to then just peek in here at about 5 or 6, 10 bees and go, oh, there she is, and sit her aside or plink her back in your colony, and then dump your drones back into your sample. So there's a few ways to go about it. I'm very happy with this. Again, it's a reservation. This is going to be under the price of a queen. I want that to be a thing because the reality is if you save a single queen and she lands in this cup, then it turns out that it was a valuable investment for you. I want that to be a thing. I want this to be a thing that everybody gets, that they can utilize and help save their bees and allows them to be more comfortable doing testing. That's why I'm going down this journey. It's a big piece. So easily, I mean, it's a big thing. I really want this to help you, and I think it will. At least it's helping me, bar none. So rather than me just keep all the fun things to myself, I know a lot of you like gadgets and experimenting and that kind of thing. That's why we're having this discussion. So that being said, let's get on to our winners now that we all know what's kind of going on and what this past week's thing was. So I did find a winner. There was somebody who could have won, but didn't. What ended up happening was, if you watched the video and read the description, I said, hey, you have to comment on that on the Facebook page. You have to comment over there. I know it's an extra step. I know not everybody does, an extra thing all the time to jump over to somebody else's extra social media account. But here's what it did. It allowed me to directly message people, and I didn't have to give things away. I could highlight people. I could let them know. I could interact with you all. It's a big thing. YouTube's not always great. Everything's public. But it let me single out a winner immediately, and everything was in one place to make it fair. So we weren't looking at timestamps from different things and all that stuff. So that's why. So I'm sorry if that was an inconvenience, but that person, if they would have done that and made their comment on Facebook, they would have been the winner. They weren't. So the winner, which I've already reached out to, and they are very nice. Let me see if I can run StreamYard correctly. Is Philip Duncan of Missouri. I don't know that that's coming through. Maybe it is. Yes, it is. So they will be getting a full set. I don't have formal pricing yet. I will tell you that it will be somewhere in the range between 20 and 30 bucks, something like that, for one of these and the insert. It comes down to how long this takes to print and all that stuff. I will reference that the reality is the 3D printed parts have come a long way. When we started selling instant VAPs, we had a few connectors that had cracked and that kind of thing, and they had separated, and what have you. We had probably a dozen of them out of the several thousand that sold with the older style connectors. The 3D printers that we have now, the Bamboo Labs 3D printers, for those of you that are techie and know what they are, they're very high end and very precise. So if you ever have a layer separation issue with one of these, it's warranted. Like we're going to take care of it. The reality is I believe in these a lot. I've stood on this, and it's fine. I probably wouldn't stand on it this way, but I've stood on it like this, and they're solid. They're also pretty lightweight. They're easy to move around. I've chucked them across the shop just seeing what they'll do. They're very robust. So I feel very, very confident with these in the long term. And it's acrylic, easy to clean, that kind of thing. You can use Allen key, pull them off and clean them up if you really wanted to. But beyond that, sorry, my wife just texted me saying I'm doing great. So, and she's watching. So regardless, really neat, really durable. 3D printing is going to be a big thing in our market. It's just as good as any injection molding. I have a small injection molder, but the reality is, and the thing that most people don't know because they're not in a position where they have to, an injection mold, unless you can figure out how to make it yourself, which takes big machinery and all this stuff, you really have to spend a lot of money for a hope that your design works. And the reality of it is, it's just too expensive. I mean, those molds, a mold like this would probably be $20,000 or $30,000. And the reality is that cost has to be assumed somewhere. So then, this $20 to $30 piece would be 40, 50, 60, depending on how many they sell. And the reality is there's but only so many beekeepers, but only so many of those that are willing to test their bees and actually care and not be bee havers and be beekeepers. So you only have but so much margin to run a business with. So things have to cost a certain price to make things profitable, to run a business, to make all this make sense. So that's why we're leaning on 3D printing. I believe in it. I like the technology. I've been dealing with 3D printers for almost a decade at this point. The technology has advanced dramatically. There are times when I hand these to people and I have to tell them they're 3D printed because they're so nice. You can see the reflective finish in this. Even being a round part, it's staggering how good these are. So anyway, I just want to make that known. I wanted to explain why they're 3D printed. It's really just a cost thing and a volume thing. And also being a small business, I don't have to stock a ton of them. We'll probably try and stock it probably 200 or 300 for launch day. I don't know. We'll see what interest looks like. But the reality is I don't have to have warehouses of them because we can produce them, and we can produce them efficiently and effectively. And that matters. That matters to you guys because I get to save you money. And in this economy, that's a really big thing. So anyway, that being said, I promised the second winner. I'm going to go over to the Facebook page. I have not picked that winner yet. So this is going to be an interesting one because there are a handful of comments I'd like to go through. So a few of you asked for products that are already out there. A few of you asked for things that don't make sense and were just funny. I don't know. I'd enjoy it. So we're going to go through it in a minute. All right. So I just pulled up our Facebook page here. I'm not gifted enough to share it with you all, but I'll scan through here and read through a few. Let's go back here. A lot of them were, let's see if I can go to the oldest. A lot of them had to do with accessories on the Instant VAP itself, like additional plungers or something to hold the oxalic acid. Something in that regard. I'm trying to get back. A bunch of you went over and commented. So I'm trying after I released that hint video. So I'm scrolling back to see. There we go. I got a few that said OA tablets. So the reality is OA tablets are already on the market. they've been a thing overseas for a while. The guys in Michael Art at Mike's Bees in Ohio, who sells his Easy Ox oxalic acid. We currently only carry the powder. All of your comments for the tablets are making me kind of second guess that. It may be something I'll talk to him and bring over. But the reality is when you look at the plungers on the Instant Vap, and this is why, I'll be blunt and honest, this is why. When you look at the plunger on the Instant Vap, it's designed to be able to pull out, plug into the bag of acid, pull it out, stick it right in the plunger. I mean, I have one here. I'm going to Frederick Dunn, pull one right out. Fred Dunn, sorry. So the reality is you pull this out, you stick it in the oxalic acid, it packs in the end there, you stick it back in the unit, you depress it in your tree. With the tablet, with these units in particular, I'm not saying that you can't, I'm not saying that it wouldn't be a little less messy or what have you, but being able to take that tablet and drop it down in there, and then before it starts eliminating, drop this in and seal it, for me, isn't the process. For some people, it may make a bunch of sense. So I don't know. It's something that a handful of people commented. Now, after saying this out loud, it could be people wanting them for our corded units that have the insulator and don't have a dosage thing. So maybe that's where this is making sense, and maybe that's where I'll have to follow up with a few of those people and see if that's what their question's about. So let's see. Oh, that's a good one. A mini vaporizer that runs off of something like AA batteries. So to make that work, I think we would need about 200 AA batteries. I think. Always doable. I don't know that one's practical. But a solid guess. I do wish, in all honesty, that there was a more affordable battery solution. But the reality is that the batteries are as big of an investment as the Instant Vap itself. When you're going through the whole process and dealing with, buying batteries and investing in our products, they're lasting you many years. So if you buy knockoff batteries, they're not just going to make it. They're going to fail early. If you go to the store like Home Depot, Lowe's, you buy authentic, genuine batteries, they're going to last. With a unit like the Instant Vap that manages the power correctly on the batteries, they will last a very long time. So that's why. That's why we haven't moved away from those batteries. That's why we're not going to a proprietary battery. It's mainly because they just work, and everybody's got them. And if you don't, it's a great time to get some tools and start being handy around the house and, that kind of thing. I do think I'm going to heart that one because I like that one. That may be a winner. That one says, that is by Andy Miller. That is a silicone adapter plate for treating front entrances. It's very thought-provoking. I've sat on this one for a while, and I've been trying to wrap my head around how to do it. Because the problem is, while there is a standard in the Langstroth, colonies, that kind of thing, there are sketch dimensions. Everybody builds them like just a hair different at a minimum. So getting something that snaps into place or locks into place and creates a perfect seal is difficult. Now, if it turns out that getting close is good enough, that's fine. And maybe that's where this becomes viable. But at least, we'll see. I like that. It's thought-provoking. It's creative. We'll see how we go on that one. I do like that. Andy is in the running. Let's see. A new beetle trap. That may be something that I have to dabble with after I'm done my test the bees for Mike's tangent. I battle so badly with hive beetles. It's hard. It got to a point where I actually this past year this past week, dug through a colony that I saw at a bunch of them, scraped out every ounce of propolis and burr comb and all the nooks and crannies, and was like, if I get rid of their hiding spots, maybe the bees will kick their tails. I don't know, but I was like, I'm at least going to try. So I'm going to keep tabs on that one. If there's something to that, I'm going to go through and do a lot more of them. Now, I do run Apame boxes. I do have the option to put, I think it's DE that people put in the bottom tray. I tend to not run bottom trays over the summertime though. They just get hot. Personal preference. Some people keep them locked up year round. Teach their own. So there's another compressed pre-weighted OA tablets. Again, Michael Arts at Mike's Bees. 1 gram tablets. Exactly. They are 1 gram tablets. Also, we got a lot of multiple dose plungers. So I'm not really sure how that could help us, because the reality is, I don't know how it could get faster. Quite frankly, I mean, if I'm being honest, the moment that either one of these units finish, and you pull this out, stick that in, literally, put it back in here, plug it in the colony, go, you're moving. So I don't really know that one. I'd like to hear a little bit more elaboration from people when they say, you know, I hope a multi-dose plunger. There's a few of them right here. So I'm not sure. I'd like to know what we could potentially be missing as far as ease of use with you all and what you have in mind. Maybe it's a thing where you want a canister with tablets and something just go. Maybe not. I don't know. So let's see. So we have one that says more battery power. So I'll drop you guys a few hints on that, few ideas, few what have yous. Batteries, the bigger you go, again, authentics out of the question. They have to be authentic, or else you're running only about a third of what you would get. So what you're looking for is your amp hour rating. Amp hour, do I have a battery? Oh, I have a tiny one. Hang on. It's attached to a prototype product you can't see. So a tiny one will not work on the instant battery. This is what I mean when I say tiny one. If you call me on the phone, I normally say they are the size of a pack of cigarettes. Turns out they're kind of bigger, smaller. I don't know. I don't smoke. Doesn't matter. But you'll see on this side, they have a 2 on the, nope, wrong spot. A 2 on the side. Some of them don't. If they don't, on the bottom here, let's see. It's a faint, you can kind of see where it's got wording under here. It's got 2 amp hour right there. These units on a 5 amp hour battery will burn about an amp hour or so just heating up. Sometimes amp hour and a half. The bigger the battery, the less it discharges when being used, and so on and so on. So a larger battery, the high output batteries, for example, will actually give you more treatments per amp hour, and the heat up time will consume less energy. So that's an easy way, I guess, if you're in the mood to invest and need to grow, you can go that route. Get some bigger batteries, that kind of thing. The investment in the larger celled batteries, the heavy duties, if you're doing DeWalt, it's the FlexVolt ones. That kind of thing. It'll be worth your while. Another thing that people found, and a lot of the commercial guys do, a lot like if you watch Ian's video, Ian runs these. The yellow insulator, which we call a roof because it goes on the top, will help you a lot. I mean, the reality is over the cold months, we think you'll see about a 30% increase in runtime. And during the warmer months, probably somewhere in the 20s. So we haven't gone through a full season for me to give you hard data as far as what's what. But I do hope to do that here soon. I'm going to go through and do a lot of that testing. I'm going to buy a whole bunch of brand new batteries of various sizes from the big manufacturers and do some testing. Because right now I don't have hard data to tell you, okay, at this air temperature, this battery on this device with this many grams of acid did this. We have some data collected by customers that I did a while back, but I want to be able to give that representation as myself. So I saw Brian Lee in there. Hi, Brian. You asked, what amp battery do you recommend? 4 amp hour or higher? So the reality is I normally say a 5. A 4 will get it done if you have like a few colonies under 5. I get very used to talking to people who have 10 colonies or just shy. A 5 amp hour, we'll say DeWalt battery, DeWalt Milwaukee Makita. A 5 amp hour battery will do somewhere in the range of 20 to 22 treatments at 2 grams. And at 4 grams, it'll do about half that, somewhere in the 10 range. Again, all of this depends on your outside air temp. Warmer climates, you can get a few more. If you're blistering cold during winter, a few less. With the insulation roof, you can get 20 to 30% more. So few ways to go about it. If you guys, feel inclined, you can feel free to share in the comments, what batteries you have and how good your runtime is. I think it's a valuable thing to engage with people. On that note, I will also kind of encourage you guys to do me a favor and help me on my personal mission. My personal mission is to help educate people. These products that we sell, both instant apps, are extremely rugged, and so are the batteries. To a point where commercial guys do literally 10,000 treatments. I've got the compacts with a couple of them with 10,000 treatments so far this year with some of the big outfits. If you are in a position to, try lending your unit to a new beekeeper. You can treat them. They catch a swarm, whatever. Let the swarm get settled. Start them on a good foot. The units are very robust. They essentially can't break them unless they dramatically misuse them. Yes, there's a lot of money involved. You could always go out there with them, maybe charge a small fee. I actually know a few people who have done that. But the biggest thing is, for the new beekeeper, this is a very hard pill to swallow. So what ends up happening is they don't understand the investment. They don't understand the cost of losing colonies compared to a treatment device that will save you colonies and help you grow your apiary. So they end up just going the treatment-free route because that's what somebody said they could do to save money. And the sad reality is then they have to go back to the bee farmer, whatever, the salesman that sold them the bees, and purchase more bees the next year because they were told that, I haven't treated in 5 years, they're fine. And they ended up not working. So, the biggest piece with that is, just a little bit of effort to help somebody new could be a life-changing thing, because the reality is if you can start somebody in bees and start them on a good foot so that they don't have to keep buying bees, they'll do really good. And that's one of the biggest things that I admire the most about Greg Burns out at Nature's Image Farm. He's one of the very few guys, at least that I've interacted with at my pace in my own bee space, that sells bees with a goal of not having you restart your colonies from scratch. He doesn't want to keep selling you starter colonies. If you want to grow, sure, by any means. But he doesn't want you to have to do that. Sure, he's got a great spread of equipment, including instant vaps and whatever else at his store. He's an awesome knowledge base. But the reality is, he will sell you bees and educate you all the way through to ensure success. And it's something that needs to be practiced a lot more. And I truly believe that. Anyway, that's me off my rant. But helping somebody out goes a long way, and I can't do it without you all. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. It's a very easy thing to email your bee club about, or walk into the club and say, hey, this is the applicator I have. If you haven't done mite washes for the year, mite treatments, I'm here to help. It's very, very easy. So anyway, so that pinned comment, where'd it go? The one I liked for the silicone adapter plate, I'm going to make that our winner. I keep going back to it. I'm determined to make that work. I want to see that through. So Andy Miller, I'm going to message you. I'm going to snap a picture here. Looks like he is at Miller Hill Apiary. I'm going to take a picture, message him when I pop off the stream, and we'll get that out to him. So I don't know how long I've been going here, but what I want to do is give you this week's Monday hint at the new product. So this is where the fun starts all over again. So the big thing is, let me pull up my notepad because I'm very good at oversharing, as my mom says. So I want to not give away too much because I want you all to battle, and I want it to be fair and not be the first person that comments. I want you all to have to guess this thing. Again, something neat, something I think will add value to the bee community. We'll do it. The only downside to this is you're getting a hint before I have a place for you to put the comment. When we get off of here, actually, no. Yes, when we get off of here, I'm going to make a post, just a simple post saying, hey, this is where you want it to go. It'll be on our Facebook page. I'll leave it in the comments of this video as well, but I would look for it over on our Facebook. And you can leave your thoughts there. So anyway, here's your hint. This week's item is almost double the value of the Mite Wash Queen Excluder. It's on the larger side, made out of stainless steel, and will fit right into the mite washing process. It's something that I asked about. I'm going to leave you with this. Here I go oversharing again. Something I asked about a while back in some chat, and we'll leave it at that. Those of you know, maybe don't, but I'm going to stop before I overshare because I'm really good at that, because I can't keep secrets. I want you all to have the same excitement. So anyway, so that's how that goes. That's your piece. If you missed it, feel free to rewind after we finish here and we can take it from there. So that being said, if you guys have any OA questions, now that all my to-do list things are out of the way, feel free to leave them there. I'll open the floor up for probably 10 or 15 minutes worth of discussion, and we'll see what we got. So I'll give you guys a minute to start typing. Also, if you guys want to, I'll kind of ramble a little bit while we wait for a few comments here. If you guys want to see more of my hive scale numbers and another one of those videos, let me know in the comments. It's something that I found very interesting. The video didn't do particularly well, but I think there's value being able to share that. The Apamate adapter insulator for Instant Vap works for 5 or 6 hives, gets loose and falls off. Actually melted entrance wall. So that is not good, and there's a chance that that is a badly machined piece. It looks like Jim in South Carolina. If you can email me, Jim, it's just the lorobbees@gmail.com. We'll get you another set out, see if those work better for you. I was battling some stuff with the machine. That is kind of the first that I've heard of that, but we'll see. Sometimes a little bit of propolis goes a long way. It's kind of wacky that works, but I want to make sure you've got a good set to start with because it shouldn't be able to melt anything. So anyway, reach out to me there. When the OA powder is dry and doesn't want to pack into the dispenser. Yes, I'm glad somebody asked this. Nice. So when OA does not pack into the end of this plunger, they nailed it. You add a little bit of water to the bag. Like the smallest amount, a few drops goes a very long way, like a 1/4 teaspoon maximum. You don't need a lot by any means. And that's it. And shake the bag a little bit at a time until you're able to stick that plunger in, pull it out, and the OA just doesn't immediately fall out. You want it as kind of loose as you can. You're not trying to make a snowball, none of that. You want to be able to just do a little bit, stick it in the vaporizer, and you're good to go. The more water, the longer it takes to subliminate. So you don't want to go crazy. But you do need a little bit of moisture and a brand new bag of oxalic acid to make that work. So that's a big piece. We need to mix that. All right, so that's a thought-provoking one. Davis said, we need a mix that will address varroa and knock down beetles together. Still kind of new here. Two pieces with that. One, I agree. I think that more needs to be done for hive beetles. I see a lot more people battling that than anything, including myself. I referenced that already in the stream that I battle that tremendously. And we're all kind of new here. Even the guys who say they've been doing it a long time. When I go to club meetings, or when I first started, I got a lot of flack for trying to graft in the first year. I actually had somebody walk away from me who was pretty decently ranking in the club, and it was kind of weird that he was like, anyway, the whole experience was weird. And the reality is, I wasn't scared to attempt things. So I took a jab at it. And as it turned out, I watched one of Cayman's videos. I became very good at grafting. Sure, there were a few hiccups and learning curves along the way, but I made a ton of queens. I made them out of my yard within the first year with just 3 colonies, and I turned one into a cell builder on a gamble. And then it turned out that I made so many queens that I was doing so many splits, and I was looking at this thing and going, I have too many 2-frame splits. What the heck am I doing? So I had to dial it back, and I stopped for a little bit. But long story short, we're all new here. Be curious, experiment, do all of that. It's well worth it. Okay, let's see. Yes, Jason, you are disqualified. I plan to go out to the Bohemian Apiary, and do some testing. Jason's got quite the operation out there, so I want to shed some light on that, get some more input from somebody knowledgeable like him, and we'll take it from there. So that being said, I've held up enough of your evening. I'd greatly appreciate all of you that have hung in there. Those that are commenting, I know I think I've got it where you have to be subscribed to comment. Then again, I don't know because it was kind of weird. I'll iron out the bumps for next Monday. Mark your calendars, 7 o'clock, same time, same deal. We're going to give some stuff away, and we'll take it from there. Chuck, that's on me. I apologize. It is not you. It is me. The 7 p.m. deal was an email that went out, and I got like 3 people that said Eastern and I went, oh crap, I forgot that this went to like 6,000 customers. It's like, my bad. So anyway, we're out of here, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya.